Coach, obviously this is not your first dance.
This is a country song. This ain't my first rodeo, right? Can y'all tell me who sang that? I figured you couldn't. Go ahead. No, it's a guy.
As they announce you guys' names, kind of what's going through your mind?
Well, happy. This is the most exciting time of a college program's year. And I never want it to become old. I never want to lose that excitement. If I do, I need to retire. I've got a guy on my staff that he doesn't even know what to do with himself. Coach G is just beside himself. This is new to him. Perspective. I've watched more conference tournaments than ever in my entire coaching career. Why? I couldn't figure it out, but I did. I don't have children to raise where I had to go to their ball games and do things and couldn't sit and relax. I don't have my grandchildren here. Ironically, I watched Hawaii come back and beat Santa Barbara on a slip the screen at the end of the ball game yesterday. And anyway, this is it. This is the last part of your season. I look back and reflect on last year in non-conference to this year's non-conference. Did we improve? Absolutely we did. Then I go to the second part in conference. Last year's conference record and this year's conference record. Did we improve? Absolutely we did. Then you go to the conference tournament. We didn't win a game, but we won one this year. Did we improve? You bet we did. Now, can we improve during the postseason? We won one game here. Can we win two? And if we win two, we get to go to Sweet 16 and we get to go back to Greenville. Greenville is doable for our fans. Seattle's a long way. I don't think there's anything above that but Canada. And so being in that region for our fans is exciting. I think the other two that will be here, Michigan, UNLV, I know a lot about Michigan. I think the world of Kim, their coach. I've played her in the playoffs many times. Don't know much at all about UNLV. We'll have to study. I know what I've read about how good she has done since she's been there, and what I know was from the game watching Hawaii yesterday.
Was it Vern Gostin who did this song?
You just cheated. You looked it up, Jock.
Sorry about that.
My goal before I retire, if I don't die or y'all don't die before each other, I'm going to call out an old country song and I'm going to sing it and y'all are going to immediately know. And when that happens, you have arrived.
Coach Starkey, before this show started, said it's not about seeding, it's about matchups.
Oh, absolutely. We're a 3 seed. The 2 seed is Utah. Flip a coin. We could have been the 2. They could have been the 3. It doesn't matter. You're going to have to play good teams along the way. The first most important thing is that we get to host. We get to host. And I know how loud it was in here when we hosted last year. I know how much the people were wanting seats, and our fans need to understand each institution gets a certain number of seats. So be patient. Don't get aggravated if you don't have your normal seats. And then the 2 that make it to the second round, seats will open up. It is all about matchups. They have to guard us, what our strengths are, and we're going to have to guard people that have perimeter shooters all over the floor. Hawaii shoots a lot of threes from what I saw yesterday, but yet they also have inside play. Not big, but in their league, they weren't afraid to slip screens and post up. I'm giving you stuff off the top of my head. I have not studied any team. How could I? I did not know who would be coming here.
Kim, and as it pertains to that, whether you guys ended up at a 2 or a 3, I mean, do you guys feel like the committee got it right or wrong? And then 2, I noticed you huddled up with your team there right after the announcement. Can you just share, or possibly share, what you might have told the ladies there?
that I was leaving to come talk to y'all, for them to stay, for them to go thank the fans for being here, and that I would see them at practice at 1:30, and that if they didn't catch everything, we're going to be in the Greenville region, and that's good for their families, and that we will practice and get on the floor tomorrow. Had we been Saturday, Monday, I would not have practiced them because that's too long. But once the NCAA starts coming in here, I don't know if it's Wednesday or Thursday, you're very limited on practice time. So just giving them a rundown that I'll see them in the film room or in the locker room at 1:30 tomorrow.
Kim, obviously not having any inkling that you would play Hawaii. Do you remember watching them run that play at the end of the game? And from a coach, just as a pure coaching standpoint, were you impressed?
Yes, I was
or pleased?
impressed. In fact, I'll tell you what I did. I knew the reason I stopped and even watched, I was flipping channels, and I watched a lot of conference championships because I don't have children or grandchildren here. I'm bored. And I stopped on that particular game because Bonnie Hendrickson is the head coach at Santa Barbara, and she was a great coach in the Big 12 at Kansas for many, many years. So I stopped and I watched because of her. And then she was in the lead, and Hawaii made comeback. And so I wanted to see who that Hawaii coach was. Beeman is her last name. And so I looked her up on my phone, and I thought she just ran a very good play right there to win the game. And the kid caught it and was fouled and got an and one. And it's just funny that that's the last game I saw yesterday.
Yeah, Coach. Obviously, it's been a week since the Tennessee game. What has that week been like for y'all, and still with, obviously, another
It seems like longer than a week. We took a couple days off, came back, got in the film room, showed them the second half of the Tennessee game, and I handed out, I guess you could call it a poem. It's called It's Only One Possession, and I just read everything off. You should get one of my coaches to share it with you. It's pretty powerful. And then I made each of them raise their hand after each little phrase of the poem and say, did this happen to any of you? Coach, don't get upset. It was just my failure to block out. Raise your hand if you didn't block out. It's just my failure to have a mental lapse on that turnover. Raise your hand if you had. So just bringing it to their attention that you only lost by 2. You lost a 17-point lead. You still had a chance to win it if you go execute when we called timeout with 20-something seconds to go, and everybody has a job to do. That last play was not for Angel Reese. That last play was for Alexis Morris. And Angel Reese did not set the flare screen for Alexis to come off, and we were going to just tip it right back to her, and we didn't do it. And so it was teaching. Then when we got on the floor, I would say that been pretty intense. It's been pretty intense on the floor.
Coach, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but we've seen many times this season how beneficial this home crowd can be. How big of a factor will that be this week?
Well, it should be a factor at every one of the 16 home sites. And let me just explain that. You don't see that on the men's side. You have the neutral sites. The women tried that many years ago. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work is you've got maybe 2 handfuls, maybe 1 handful of women's basketball where the fans just are crazy about their teams and they show up. And so we tried it. It's nothing more embarrassing than to watch a neutral site game and there's nobody in the stands. And so that's why they went back to the first and second round sites on the 16 teams who deserve to be seated. This place is as loud. I've been several, but I don't know that I've been in an arena louder than LSU. I think we've been accused of piping in noise last year during the playoffs. Kateri Poole can tell you better than I could. She was in the other uniform when we lost Ohio State, and she just couldn't believe it. And I expect it to be that way this year. Fans don't win games for you, obviously. We didn't win that second game, but Ohio State was better than we were. I hope that our goal is to try to win 2 games at home, but being at home doesn't guarantee wins. We will fight as hard as we always do. We will be excited that our fans get to see us. But this is the fun time of the year.
Those 2 or 3 days off early in the week, how beneficial was that to your team? And what's their attitude coming out and just the overall health of your team, mentally, physically?
Well, physically, everybody's healthy. Mentally, I would think those first 2 or 3 days off, they were probably not real happy. By the time we got to the film room, it was not pouting. It was not berating them. It was, we're going to slow this down, and you are going to tell me why you didn't set that screen. You have to tell me from the time we leave that huddle to the time we walk out there, how do we get your attention? Do we assign a coach to you? Did I draw it up? Those are the things that you have to make them understand. Focus. And it was more of that, and it was just teaching what we did bad, what we didn't do bad, and you just say, Tennessee just did that better. But don't, guys, what are we, 28-2, right? I want y'all to understand the fans get excited, but sometimes they also lose perspective. They think we're supposed to go to a Final Four. Give me a break. Now give me a break. Can we? Yeah. Memphis beat Houston men today, right? That's why you play the game, but we're not supposed to be Final Four in year 2 here. We're just hoping to win one more in the playoffs and then let the chips fall where they may. So when you write about us, don't sit there and say, oh, you're a failure if you don't make it to the Final Four. Are you kidding me? I'm going to protect this program and these kids and say, are we better today than we were last year? Is recruiting better? Are we winning more at each level of the season? And our goal is to win 2. We have not won 2. We won 1 last year. And if we don't, you walk off that floor and go, whew, we played our hearts out. We gave it everything we had. That team just played better. That's when you lose, that's the feeling you want to have, is that there was nothing else we could do. They just played better.
So my question would be, are you better this year? Are you better equipped? Obviously, Alexis is healthy and ready to go, but do you feel like you have the components needed, whether it be the rebounding, the length, the
I think
shooters?
we have the components to win one more game than we won last year. I do. Will that happen? I don't know. It's a different, lineup of teams coming in here. What you have is a little more depth than we had last year. You have individuals who are a little bit more talented than we had last year at certain positions. What we don't have is longevity. We don't have players out there that have been together 3, 4, and 5 years. That matters. Now, they've been in college, some of them 3, 4, and 5 years, but they've been at different institutions. Those teams that win in the postseason have those older people, man, they've been playing a lot of basketball together. Indiana comes to mind. Go look at their lineup. That's a lot of girls that have been playing together for a long period of time. Iowa State, I watched them win today. Those guys have been playing together a long time, and it matters. So yeah, we're hoping to win one more than we won last year.
We have time for a few more questions.
Last year you played on Saturday. You had a big crowd, but you had that St. Patty's Day parade and all that. Do you feel like the Friday, Sunday is better than for the fans and all that?
When is the St. Patty's parade?
It's Saturday, I believe, yeah.
So I guess we don't have a conflict then, right?
That's right.
So those that went to the St. Patty's parade can now come to our games, right? I don't know. Yeah, Friday, Sunday. I think we got baseball, though. Where? I know. But we got a lot of fans that like both women's basketball now and baseball, so you're going to lose some of those fans. I doubt A&M will put us on the screen there. Do you think they'll give updates? I doubt it.
Kim, I know you're a realist. So to your point there, do you talk to your team about at least, hey, let's believe we can get to the Final Four?
Oh, listen, absolutely. You think in 2005 I went in there and said, oh, we're going to the Final Four and we're winning a national championship. Are you kidding me? We were a 2 seed that year. What we talked about is our goals. Our goals are real. Our goals, we have met the first 3 parts of the season. Now, what is our goal here? Our goal is to win one more than we won last year. And then when you get to the Sweet 16, you look around and go, hey, let's see what we can do here. We think we're as good as anybody else, but you can't set those goals until you achieve what you didn't do last year. But absolutely, I've said it, I'll say it again. South Carolina, do y'all know who I'm talking about? They are here, and everybody else is here. Can they be beat? Anybody can be beat, but they're here. They're the ones that I measure the program we're trying to build here at Baylor, at LSU. I can't even compare my Baylor teams to what we're doing here. We are on a fast track, and I think sometimes the fast track blinds the media and it blinds the fans on what we really should be achieving. And it doesn't blind me. I know what our strengths are. I know how hard it is to build a program, and we are way ahead of schedule.
To that end, just taking the fact that you're hosting for the second straight year, the first round, I don't imagine you anticipated that when you came here, that you would be able to host, be good enough to host for the first 2 years.
Scott, when I was hired a year ago, I just wanted to win one more game than they won the previous year. Do you remember what they had won? Was it 9? My goal was to win 10 ball games. And the schedule was already done, so I couldn't look over at Johnny Derrick and say, get me 10 wins. So that was your goal, realistically, is just to win one more. And then if you do that, win one more and win one more. You got to take baby steps before you can, run and jump. And we did that fast last year. And a lot of that had to do with those seniors. I had 5 or 6 players that had been playing together for a long period of time that bought into what we were trying to do, and they bought into it quickly. And they started seeing some success and seeing things happen that they hadn't seen during their career here. Crowds were getting bigger. We were being talked about. We got ranked. All those things were new. And you just build on that.
One more question, we'll finish with Colin.
You talked about the grind leading up to this. How ready and I guess fatigued, where's Angel in that? She looked like she had been a step off, I guess, in the tournament. And I was just wondering.
She got in the weight room on her own when we got back. I think she's motivated that she knew for whatever reason she didn't play up to her standards. And we're talking about a kid that got a double-double, right? One game she didn't. But that's what the great ones do. And this time of year, you do get mentally fatigued and physically fatigued, but after today's bracket announcement, you kind of get a little juice flowing and just get ready to go. Everybody's in the same boat. We've been off. A lot of played their championship today. Big 12 played their championship today, so we've been off for a week. We've had time to get off of our feet.
Thank you, guys.
Thank y'all.